We trust the internet with our identities every single day. Bank logins, medical records, private messages, assuming the locks protecting them will always hold. But that confidence is built on math, and math is about to be challenged in a way most people don't fully understand yet. Quantum computers won't break the internet tomorrow, but they will force cybersecurity to change, and here's exactly how. Starting off the list at number 10 is the myth of good enough encryption. For decades, online identity protection has relied on the idea that some problems are just too hard to solve. Your identity stays safe not because it's impossible to steal, but because cracking the encryption would take thousands of years with normal computers. That assumption has quietly shaped everything from online banking to government IDs. Quantum computing challenges that comfort blanket. It doesn't make passwords useless overnight, but it changes the math timeline. Problems that once took centuries could eventually take hours. That shift alone forces us to rethink what secure enough really means. And here's the uncomfortable part. Many systems protecting identities today were designed with no upgrade path. They assumed the rules would never change. Quantum computing proves they were wrong. Hey, at number 9, identity theft is a long game now. When people think of identity theft, they imagine instant fraud, credit cards maxed out, accounts drained. But the quantum era introduces a slower, scarier version. Steal now, exploit later. Attackers are already collecting encrypted identity data, social security numbers, health records, government IDs, not because they can decrypt it today, but because they believe they can someday. That means your identity could already be sitting in a database, waiting. 8. Passwords aren't the weak link you think. Everyone loves to dunk on passwords. Too short, reused, human error. And sure, that's all true, but in a quantum future, passwords aren't the main problem. The real issue is what happens after you log in. Identity systems rely on encrypted sessions, digital certificates, and cryptographic keys. Quantum computers target those foundations, not your memory. So even perfect passwords won't matter if the underlying identity verification math becomes obsolete. That's a tough pill to swallow, but it's better to face it now than after the damage is done. Here's a bonus fact for you: the silent victims nobody talks about. Here's the part that doesn't get enough attention. Children. Kids have clean identities with decades of value ahead of them. A stolen child's identity might not be used for 10 or 20 years, and by then, quantum decryption could make old stolen data brutally effective. This is why governments are panicking quietly. Identity theft in the quantum age isn't just theft, it's identity time travel. At 7, the digital IDs are a double-edged sword. Digital identity systems promise convenience, one ID to rule them all, log into banks, healthcare, government portals. From a usability standpoint, it's beautiful. From a quantum perspective, it's terrifying. Centralized identity systems become high-value targets. If quantum computers weaken their encryption, a single breach could expose millions of identities at once. The more unified our identity systems become, the more catastrophic future failures could be. This doesn't mean digital IDs are doomed, but they absolutely must be rebuilt with quantum resistance baked in from day one. 6. Biometric data is forever. You can change a password, you can cancel a credit card, but you can't change your face, or your fingerprints, or your iris scan. Quantum computing raises serious questions about biometric identity storage. If biometric databases are ever decrypted in the future, the damage is permanent. There's no reset button for your biology. That's why next-generation identity systems are shifting away from storing raw biometric data at all. Instead, they're moving toward cryptographic proofs that say, "this matches," without revealing the actual biometric information. Quantum accelerates that transition fast. 5. Post-quantum identity systems are already being built. Most people assume this is future panic. It's not. Governments, banks, and cloud providers are already transitioning identity systems behind the scenes, quietly, deliberately, and without headlines. New post-quantum algorithms are being tested to protect things like digital certificates, identity tokens, and secure logins. The goal isn't just, can this survive quantum? It's, can this protect identity data stolen today from being decrypted years from now? And here's the important part. This transition is slow, painfully slow. Identity systems are some of the hardest things on Earth to upgrade, because if you break them, people can't log in, get paid, or prove who they are. That's why quantum pressure matters. It forces these changes before there's a crisis. Quick break. If you're finding this helpful, hit like and subscribe for more valuable content. And if you subscribe, drop a comment saying, "I subscribed." We try to respond to everyone. 4. Identity theft becomes a nation-state weapon. This is where identity theft stops being just a crime problem and starts becoming a geopolitical one. Quantum computing isn't something random hackers in basements will own first. It's governments. That means identity theft can scale from individual fraud to mass destabilization. Imagine forged identities at scale, fake passports, synthetic citizens, fraudulent credentials that pass verification systems. That's not science fiction. That's a logical extension of broken trust in identity systems. Once identity itself becomes questionable, everything built on it wobbles: elections, financial systems, international travel. Quantum computing doesn't just threaten encryption, it threatens confidence. And confidence is the real currency of identity. Alright, number 3 is when zero trust becomes the new normal. For a long time, identity security worked on a simple idea: prove who you are once, then trust you for a while. Log in, get a session, go about your business. Quantum pressure kills that model. The future of identity is zero trust, where no action is trusted by default, even after login. Every request, every access, every sensitive action is continuously verified using multiple signals. That sounds exhausting, and for systems it is. But it's also far safer. Identity stops being a single gate and becomes a constant conversation. Is this still you? Are you still authorized? Does this behavior still make sense? Quantum computing accelerates this shift because static trust breaks under long-term cryptographic threats. 2. When identity proof becomes more important than identity data. Here's a subtle but massive shift. Future systems care less about who you are and more about what you can prove. Instead of storing your identity everywhere, name, birth date, ID number, systems are moving toward cryptographic proofs. You don't reveal your age, you prove you're over 18. You don't reveal your identity, you prove you're authorized. This minimizes damage if data is stolen. Even if attackers collect encrypted proofs today, quantum decryption later doesn't give them reusable identity data. It's a fundamental redesign of identity itself. Less exposure, less permanence, less regret. And quantum computing is the forcing function making this redesign unavoidable. Now finally, at the number 1 spot, identity security becomes about the future, not the present. This is the biggest change of all, and the one most people miss. Cybersecurity has always focused on stopping today's attacks. Quantum computing forces identity security to protect against tomorrow's capabilities. That's a mindset shift, not just a technical one. Identity systems now have to assume data will be stolen. Encryption may be broken later. Long-term identity value matters more than short-term convenience. Quantum computers won't wake up tomorrow and erase the internet, but they will quietly invalidate assumptions we've relied on for decades. And identity theft is where that impact hits hardest, because once your identity is compromised, everything else follows. The systems that survive won't be the ones that panic last. They'll be the ones that planned first. Understanding how cybersecurity is really changing matters, especially when it comes to identity, trust, and long-term risk. Quantum computing isn't about instant collapse, it's about slow pressure that forces smarter design. If this helped clarify what's actually coming, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment saying, "I subscribed." We try to respond to as many as we can. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.